We have a couple of very interesting questions already on the go. First of all, Mr. Kalkerinos comments, technology has more advantages than disadvantages, but are we able to cope with this revolution?
The answer is very simple. From which part do you see the advantages and the disadvantages?
Can we see them from the cultural point of view? And
it's the same question if you see a glass half water or full of water. You know what I mean. It's what would you expect from the relation? If you will focus towards the culture or something different, then you have you see mostly the bad things. Because today I'm staying here, I can push a button, and the other side of the world can cause a disaster. This is the bad, the negative influence. But also I can print a heart to put it to a child when I found no donor.
I think in general it's very good. I think the advantages are in favor.
Of course. And so comes to the culture. That's why I put the Aristoteles and the Socrates motto to show that whatever the result or the plans are, we have to think holistically before we continue.
Thank you.
Also, we have another question from Dr. Maritza. Autonomy, she comments, will have a different meaning when artificial intelligence and advanced technology will be the extension of our physical body. How do we cope, Dr. Kalemis, generally speaking, how do we cope with the fear of death and the extension of our presence?
In the example I saw you about the veteran's arm who was missed from the shoulder, so he had a full arm put in his body. He had some microprocessors in the brain, so he can control this arm like a human one. But from time to time, he had to be to the hospital as it was an experimental, let's say, project to program the chips in his brain so can properly. Just like having a computer and you make upgrades on your system or in your mobile phone. So who can say clearly, I cannot say that when I program his arm, I will not put some, let's say, hidden possibilities. And when I have not one, but hundreds of these people, or in brain, or whatever else. That's why we see, I referred as a question, how can have the guarantee that we cannot manipulate it, finally, these people? We make it good, but we stay there, or we do it as a first step before we manipulate them. Who knows? Future will give us.
But how do you envisage, how do you foresee which direction should we follow?
I would like to feel only positive towards the good of the human and the mankind. I reject all bad feelings or ideas about this thing. I don't want to have any ideas behind or what we see that, okay, we can offer him the possibility to hold the pen or something, but I can do it something else as well. I want to stop to the first part, do something good.
Thank you. Professor Papagiannis has a question, please.
Yes, it's more of a general observation rather than question. I do agree that we have to always focus on the positive implications of technology, but I think we ought to keep in mind that something negative might come up. You mentioned this algorithm in the UK that defines who works and who is not suitable for work. I mean, what happens if this goes one step further? What if we develop somebody develops an algorithm who defines who lives and who doesn't, who is
Yes, that's why I just said that we have to make a new law implicating these possibilities, because this has not been, let's say, included in their legacy, in their laws. So they came suddenly up to a result with no previous background.
yes, I'm just afraid that
Yes.
I'm just afraid that once the technology is there, the law will be insufficient. I mean, we've got laws and people break the law every day.
Yeah.
It happens. It's just an idea, just for the sake of argument. But yes, I'm on the same page. And regarding regarding autonomy, someone mentioned autonomy here.
Yes.
Miss Maritza. Yes, and just because you mentioned a sci-fi film, what was it, the Star Wars, was it? I've got two films to recommend. One of them is in my latest book that I've examined some sort of a philosophical approach on modern films. In terms of autonomy, I think we should look at this very interesting film by I can't remember the director, Ridley Scott, I think, 1982. It's called Blade Runner. And also Alejandro Amenabar's Open Your Eyes. I'm going to just a recommendation. I'm going to write them down here.
Yes, if you write them down to the chat or links, it will be super.
Nikos, I have to remind that we have one more speaker, Dr. Thanasias, in order to conclude. And then if we have enough time to continue with the Q&A and the break.
Okay, I thought we were going up to 10:30. Now it is the time.
So
I
we
think.
can go to Dr. Thanasias for a short presentation.
Okay.
And then Q&A and break according to the timelines of the program.
Thank you. Dr. Kalemis, we have to sincerely thank you for your contribution. It was very interesting. Thank you. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Of course, yes.
And I would like to introduce Mr. Thanasias Ευθύμιος, Dr. Ευθύμιος Thanasias, who holds a PhD in prognostic and predictive factors for lung cancer from the Medical School of the University of Thessaly. Dr. Thanasias is specialist in occupational medicine, holding a portfolio of more than 30 companies in the private and public sector in Greece and Cyprus. Please, Dr. Thanasias, the floor is yours.